going to start, and today we're going to jump into John chapter 9. But before we do that, I want you to discuss at your table the implications of actions in this world. It says, discuss with your table how much impact a person can have in this world, both good and bad. Have at it. I gotta put
Way too broad.
way too broad. Terrible question. Pastor, come up with a
Is
better
that a
one.
trick question? I repeat a little bit of.
No.
Right?
I will not give you a better
Doesn't
question.
necessarily have to be.
That's pretty much good. Discussion starter. It's not really even a question. I mean, it is a question, but it's really just a
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, the grand things you think about, like the generals and army. It's like when they decide like how they're gonna do the battles, like in the Revolutionary War when they.
I would think that has a long-term impact, probably, or he's going to lead them down a very bad road, because it's usually more fun.
And it might keep both. Which drives me crazy. Or my butter.
The good is that somebody invented
Whenever you know.
But I mean, yes. Like yeah, of course.
Well, I'm thinking of like a Jim Hill, I guess I'm thinking more of that, like he influenced a whole bunch of people. Good, like, you know, see that, good effect on a lot of people.
Oh, sure. And in another military, you're talking to people.
Just because it's ceramic.
You know, I mean, I know I had a ton of impact on people. One of my best friends over there, Yvonne, not a Christian at all when I first met her. She actually used to make fun of me all the time. Her kids were smaller.
Oh, okay.
So that I don't have to drink.
Smaller.
All right, bring it back in.
Okay.
All right, the answer to the question is
Yeah.
6:30.
Okay, thank you.
6:30.
Thank you.
Brooke asked a question about when our Monday, Thursday time and Friday times were. 6:30. Everything is 6:30 service time. 6:30. So Ash Wednesday, midweek went 1, midweek went 2,
Sunrise?
midweek went 3, 6:30.
Meals are always 5:30?
7 o'clock. Sunrise is 7 o'clock.
Is it?
7 o'clock. is
Meals
the-
are at 5:30.
But meals are at 5:30. Church is at 6:30. Sunrise service is at 7 o'clock. Even though I wanted it at 6. Nobody wanted it.
I don't know. Why is there no meal on Ash Wednesday?
Seriously, I agree.
Traditionally, we've never had. So
Well, we should start.
Bad
Yeah,
tradition.
let's change the tradition.
shame on our tradition. Shame.
Fry bread from now on.
Listen.
There's a Bible verse that says
if
no meal
you
on Ash
if you
No,
make
it isn't.
food and bring it,
Prove it.
that's fine. I mean, I don't care. I got no
Is it
problem.
because of the celebration of Ash Wednesday?
No.
Is that why we don't do it?
I don't think so.
There's no reason.
There's really no reason.
It's
No one's-
just because that's the way they've always done it.
Mhm. And I don't know about you, but I don't know how to change anything.
Well, so the white change.
I can't change light bulbs, can't change tires, can't change, just can't do that, it's hard to do, so. Yeah, if you wanted to, that's fine with me, I don't care, bring soup and salad and then tell people, and they'll bring soup and salad and then you can kinda have your own thing. And then people are like, oh, last year they did it, and then, boom, you'll be up and running. You'll be up and running. I will tell you that I won't be there this year, because I'll be in Mount
You
City.
gotta drive fast.
I won't drive any faster than I normally do.
I just saw Tuesday, I guess I don't see it.
I told them, they said, they're used to me starting late. 5, 10, 30. No, I wouldn't start that late. Back to our real question. What did you guys say? Besides, this is a bad question and I don't want to entertain it. Amy.
Sorry, we did.
No, I'm just
entertain it.
kidding. I'm just
We
kidding.
did.
I
It's way too broad.
discussion starter.
Well, we're saying here that everybody can make a
good or bad impact. Because you look at, go ahead, you were saying that.
Oh, you look back at your life and who impacted your life. Grandparents, parents, teachers, pastors, leaders of your country, leaders in world things. I mean, they have impact even everywhere in the world. Wars start, war end.
And the sad thing is that people that are really evil have a huge impact as well.
Yeah.
Not just people that are good or
Well,
do
yeah,
good things.
like the leader of your
Like
country.
Osama bin
never
Laden,
one way or
for
the other.
example. Right?
Yeah, and I think maybe the underscoring of the question is that our actions have consequences or outcomes of some sort or another, right? And we'll say the consequences or the results of actions sometimes are overemphasized, sometimes underemphasized, and sometimes we don't really get to see the consequences of our actions, right? And that is the thoughts that I want you to have as we're working through this next section of John. All right, are we ready? Let's jump in. First 12 verses of John chapter 9. As Jesus was passing by, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "It was not this man, or it was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that God's works might be revealed in connection with him. I must do the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." And after saying this, Jesus spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva, and spread the mud on the man's eyes. "Go," Jesus told him, "wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing. His neighbors, and those who had seen him before, this is as a beggar. Whoa. His neighbors and those who had seen him before, this as a beggar asked. Am I reading something wrong?
Those who had seen him before this
Thank you.
as a beggar.
Thank you.
He was a beggar before.
Wrong emphasis there in the center. That was not making sense in my brain. "Isn't this the one who used to sit and beg?" Some said, "He is the one." Others said, "No, but he looks like him." He kept saying, "I am the one." So they asked him, "How are your eyes open?" And he answered, "The man who is called Jesus made mud, spread it on my eyes, and told me, 'Go to Siloam and wash.' So I went and washed, and then I could see." "Where is he?" they asked. "I don't know," he said. They brought this man who, I gotta stop, sorry. All right, so the first question is, think about the disciples' question. What are the implications for both scenarios? First of all, what's the disciples' question?
Who sinned?
Who sinned?
Parents.
And then what's the implication for both scenarios? His sin or their parents' sin?
They're trying to point the finger.
They are definitely trying to point it.
And they don't know who to point to.
Huh?
And they don't know who to point to.
Yeah. What's the implication though of this?
Neither one of them did it. Neither one of them.
Well, Jesus says that, but their thought in their head is,
Somebody
Somebody
deserved
had
it.
to have sinned because he deserves to be blind, or that's why he is blind.
yeah, and I don't know, to me that's something to think about. You think about that.
All the time.
Yeah, which leads me to this question, which maybe just go right there. Is the disciples' belief in this section common today?
Yes.
Is that a good or a bad thing, and how might we take this into consideration when we do ministry? And then I said, keep in mind Jesus' words. So let's do this. You guys went, common belief today. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever got that much approval of anything I've done in this class.
Good question.
Whatever, yeah, good point. We're on board with this one. Good or bad thing? Wait, let's do this. your table comes up with its answer. And then you cast a vote whether this is a good or a bad thing. And we'll see if we're all in agreement or if we're divided. Should we have everybody close their eyes and then they can vote? We'll see where it goes.
Other countries might be.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't see it that much here.
But like I find sometimes, I think we shouldn't think that way. You might find that
Things are like that because they're not
I think so. He's bad. There's no goodness.
Nope.
because it's a long term.
Sounds like a lot of people are on the same page.
Some-
All right, it's voting time. Each table has to have one person vote. I don't want none of this half ballot casting. I'm bad, it's bad. If you think this is a good thing,
Something here, how this yucky stuff happened to you.
raise your hand. Does anybody think this is a good thing?
He did.
I don't think it's.
He's an outlier.
He is so reluctant. What kind of conversation did you have? I thought good, but I know better now.
We straightened this out.
Everybody thinks this is a bad thing.
Like, it's just a team.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Ranger, do you think it's
Like
bad?
the belief is, like,
The belief is bad, Robin says. Why?
no, I'm asking you. Like you're asking, is the belief bad? Like, yeah.
Yeah, this is a common belief. Everybody's like, yeah, this is a common belief. Everybody, yeah, people think this. And then my question was, is that a good or a bad thing?
It's very normal. It's very
We're
relevant
kind of
because
thinking it's not that common today.
Oh.
In America.
In America, so.
Oh.
Have you ever heard anyone talk about karma?
Yeah.
Wow.
More karma than
No.
sin.
So is this?
Sin?
So let's have that conversation. What's different?
We're thinking like in some countries, like, they're an eye for an eye sin type thing, but in our country, it doesn't seem like people worry about sin really as much. And that it's not that common today then.
So if
We
someone
might
thought this
ourselves-
way, you might think
sometimes
that maybe it's
even-
not a bad thing.
And sometimes even in our own minds, even though we know better, we might think to ourselves sometimes like, what did I do to deserve this? Even though you know you're not supposed to think that way.
Right.
But as a whole society, there's so many people that aren't Christian anymore that we don't think they even think that much about sin. It's more, well, bad things happen. I don't
What
know.
would be the implication of that view? I mean, are you going to comment to that? Okay, Deb's comment to that, and then I'll ask my question.
Look at the political news.
Pointing fingers.
Right.
Yeah. What's the implication of that, what you just said? Not you. I think you're right, that there's a ton of pointing fingers, but you. People are not concerned as much about it now. What do you think the implication of that is?
It's harder to,
What does that mean?
it's harder to tell them the truth. There is no truth.
people are hardening their hearts towards sin.
Yeah, I would say this is a marker of unbelief setting in. With this belief, I'm going to throw you a life preserver. That's what I'm doing. I don't need it. It's bad. It's bad.
This is where I was getting with this was that a non-understanding of sin. There is no sin. There's nothing wrong. And that's kind of along your lines too. And this is it's good to know that there's a right and a wrong.
Yeah.
And I think
Yes.
that's the only thing that shows.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Please, Amy.
I don't know if you'll understand the way I'm thinking, but
Probably not. You're a
really.
woman.
I just think about our sinful nature and how we sin every day and all the time. And so why wouldn't there be bad things? I mean, those sins lead up to bad things. I mean, of course there's going to be big sin, the big problems, because those sins lead to big problems with anybody. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to track where you're going.
Eh?
As I said, you are a woman, and I don't understand.
See? I know. I mean, it's just so
My wife
obvious.
is not in here, but I don't understand her either.
It's
so.
just so obvious that there's gonna be things, and when you think about that, you're like, how dare I think that? Because of course there's gonna be these bad things that happen, it's just logical.
So is
in
this-
the course of sin.
Yes, so but is that a bad thing then? Is that a bad thing when you look at this and go,
No, because Jesus died for those sins.
okay. So, I mean, this is,
Big fan of natural consequences. Right, see?
go for it, Robin.
So, just with stuff that's happened to me in many times, like, what did I do to deserve this?
Mhm.
What did I do to deserve getting divorced? And what happened in my marriage? What did a child do to deserve getting molested? What did a woman do to deserve getting raped? Like
Yeah.
all those things, that is a common belief among people who have had bad things happen to them. And, so this guy's blind. What bad thing did I do to,
Not him though,
right,
right? But the disciples go there,
right.
which I think is interesting. We kind of glanced over that. But what can you do that you're born blind? Like that's a really actually an interesting question.
What did I do to deserve it?
What did this individual do before
Yeah.
he's not even in the world? He's growing in his mom's tummy. What did he do?
But also, like women, I will say, because they're the ones who get pregnant these days. We think when a child, like they have complications or their child dies,
Yeah.
have a miscarriage. What did I do
Yeah.
to make that happen?
So this is the whole point of asking these questions is for us to kind of straighten ourselves out. Because is this I mean, you've said it already, Lisa. Is this healthy? Is this the right mentality to have?
I don't know that it's the right one as a Christian if you know God and know His Word, but there's so many people who don't know that, even as a Christian.
So let's remove it then from society and place it in your life.
When I was going through stuff, I thought that all the time.
And
I call myself a Christian. I
Yes.
call myself
Yeah,
a believer.
I understand that, but then I'm asking you: is this in line with what God says? To have these kind of thoughts?
No, they're sinful.
What'd you say?
They're sinful.
Expand. Why are they sinful?
Because we need to rely on God. I mean, He gives us what He wants us to have in this earth, and we are supposed to work that for His good, right?
I say they are human.
Well, but humans are sinful.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't think they're necessarily bad, because when I had my miscarriage and I thought those thoughts, it
Yeah.
made me read more and be closer to God.
Reevaluate.
And when I had
I
Cohen.
think in the end, it does bring you closer when you
Yeah.
go through it.
Yep.
Yes,
Mm.
if you have something bad.
It's not like
goes
I
out of
thought,
your
thought those thoughts every
control.
single day of my life, but there was a time there where
Yeah.
I thought them a lot, and it brought me
Agreed.
closer.
Agreed.
So I think in this regard, and this is what I'm going to say. What I know for certain is that God does not punish His people for their sin. That rests solely on Jesus. And to have thoughts like that, like this is a punishment for my sin. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have like similar thoughts, but if we're thinking of I have done a sin or committed a sin and now God is punishing me for it, I'm going to say that is sinful and that is wrong, and you need to drive that as far away from you as possible, because it does a couple of things. One, it does what to Jesus?
Takes him out of the picture.
It minimizes His ability. It minimizes the things that He did for you.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's part of the reason why I said what I said at the very end of the sermon today. Like, some flashlights are so bright that it's hard to look at. Like, sometimes, like, that's what we need. And don't be afraid of that. Like, yeah, sometimes we hide sins from the people that we love or the people around us, and what we really need is actually just to address it and deal with it. And so then do that. And you know what you will hear when you do that? Not wrath and punishment, but if you're looking at Jesus, He's going to come to you and say, don't be afraid. I came for this exact purpose, so that you could have peace with God in this issue, which is a beautiful thing. Now, what you were saying earlier, Amy, I was following along. I don't know if I understood it correctly, but I was following along. I think you said something that I think is also true in this situation, is that even though, let's say, God does not punish believers, especially for their sin, and Jesus pays for the sins of the world, the reality is that sometimes actions actually just have natural consequences.
Yep.
High five. We do that's good. That's good.
As a teacher.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
God,
Yeah, so
natural
there
consequences don't
are
work.
certain natural consequences
Yeah.
as opposed to
Yeah.
living in this world. Now, I wouldn't say it's a part of being human. Like, I wouldn't say that because I don't think Jesus felt this way. I don't think Jesus had this mindset of like, there's guilt that I have attributed to something like when he's on the cross. What did I do? No, not that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think Jesus would have it.
Oh, okay. You don't think Jesus? Okay. So then you're not saying it's essentially part of being a human. You're just saying this is something that naturally
I think
happens because of a
humans
fallen
as,
nature.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
The sinners
Okay.
of humans, or humans who are sinners, not Jesus. I don't think
I just
Jesus would have that thought.
I just want us to be like, especially when we talk about what does it mean to be human, we have to understand that Jesus was human. And so there are certain things that we will say, will sometimes lump in like, well, to be human is to be sinful. Well, Jesus wasn't.
Except for Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus wasn't sinful. And Adam and Eve weren't sinful for a time either. Right? That's something that is added to us because of the fallen descent. So like, I just, and this is like when we talk about dogmatics, we want to be like very clear about what is essential to a human. Yes?
So you say actions have natural consequences. Are you
Oh,
saying
good.
like, so somebody smokes, they may get cancer.
Possibly.
Somebody eats 16 donuts a day, they may get heavy and have health consequences.
Sound like my friend. Yes, they might. Yeah.
I don't believe it, but okay. I just wanted to make sure I was following it.
So what I'm saying is that, as we were talking earlier at the beginning, right, your actions actually do have an impact in this world and also on you. Like if you go out in the middle of the street and are playing, like as a parent, if I'm like, hey kids, see that pavement there? You can play there all the time, doesn't matter. There's actually a pretty good high scenario that my kids could get hurt. And then if they get hurt, I'm not like, why are you punishing me? Like, well, actually, maybe use the God-given brain that God has given you and actually like think about your choices and then think about the implications of those choices, right? I think sometimes though we like to, and that's why I included this, how might we take this into consideration when we do ministry? Because I really think sometimes when we address people, they are in this kind of like, I've done something wrong, God has got his finger on me, I can't get out of it. I think it's helpful for us to understand that there are natural consequences to some of the things that we do in this world. There just are. If you, the ones that you said are good, and I'll leave them there, right? Well, I was thinking of this when I was preparing for this, right? So, if you're not married and you have sexual relations, the outcome could be you have a baby, right? And the result is that baby like is that a bad thing? Like, if you're not married, is that a bad thing, right? There are people who kind of like latch onto that and go, this baby's terrible. Well, actually, no, the baby's actually a gift from God. You just have done something like where you've taken his blessings out of order. That is sinful, but out of it, God has brought blessings, which is kind of blows my mind how God does that. He brings blessings out of the times that we just kind of screw up. And so in this regard, I think it's important for us to just make sure that we have a very clear outline of understanding that the things that we do in this world do have consequences. There are natural consequences to our actions. Right? Someone who's in prison for committing a crime. We can rightfully say, God has forgiven you for that. God's not going to punish you for that. But now, as you live in this world, the society in which you live in actually says there are consequences for that, so now you will be in prison. And we can still look at them and say, Jesus loves you and forgives you, and you don't have to pay for that sin. Right? And so we have to, we as believers, when we talk to people, we have to understand the distinction between the both, because I think it's a very easy pathway to start muddling them and go, like the disciples, yeah, well, who sinned here? Or Job's friends, Job, what have you done? Just confess it already. Just confess it already so we can move on. And what's really cool is I think what I was saying at the end, I think is really kind of underscored by Jesus. When he says, it was not this man's sin or his parents, but that God's work might be revealed in connection with him. So the things that come about in this world, and actually in this regard, we could say that this man's blindness, Jesus doesn't actually connect it to anything. Any action that is done by the individual or his parents. The result is we live in a world that's imperfect, and so imperfect things happen. And so sadly, people are plagued by sin and its consequences. But in that world of sin, Jesus says, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to reveal myself through these type of things. Which is interesting because some of you are like, yeah, we're thinking like that actually wasn't maybe bad because it forced me to turn to him. Right? And Jesus knows this, right? That's why the scriptures say, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face sorrows of many kinds or trials of many kinds, right? Because what brings us closer to the Lord? Sorrow and suffering, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's true. It's true. Which is why I think, and this is just me, kind of like thinking about the sermon today. That to me is so amazing. That Jesus doesn't keep that glory. And he says, I'm going down the mountain with you guys. That's really cool. That's someone who's embracing sorrow and suffering for us. And I tried to highlight that in the sermon because that's what really, like, when I read that, I was like, oh man, we can get so caught up in this like shining light, but let's not forget the love of God that comes in the face of his humble servant to just live with us. There he is. Yeah. Okay, I don't know if there's anything else to be said on that. Anybody want to say anything that I may or may not follow along? All right. Why? I really like this question. Why do you think Jesus did what he did when he healed the man in our account? Why spit on the ground? Why make mud? Why wipe it on his face? I've actually seen some really terrible things done in the name of this story, like pastors trying to preach on it and like making a point, and they're like, I would never do that, but some do. But why would Jesus do this? What do you think? Crickets?
Can you repeat?
Honestly, I have no idea.
I need another.
Why do you think Jesus did what he did when he healed the man in our account? So remember, what does he do? He spits on the ground, makes mud, and wipes it on his face and says, go to the pool and wipe off. Why does he do that? Tom?
Kind of like communion, where you use the bread and the wine. It's a physical image.
Good. Good. That's where I was. I think, what is this man suffering from?
Unbelief.
No, not this man. He's suffering from
Blindness.
He can't see. So what he's doing, guess what? He can't see at all. So how is he going to interact with Jesus in a different way than just hearing him? I think, through touch.
But why not just like Jesus, put your hands over his eyes
Yeah, that one I
instead
don't
of
know.
spit and make mud?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know.
Mud is.
But I think in this regard,
But I don't want your spit mud.
just, I mean, like, that's where I've seen it go. I've seen people make mud, and it's not, yeah. But I don't know why Jesus does that, but I do think, I think in this regard, at least what I was thinking of when I read this is exactly what you were thinking. Like, our Lord does do this. He does look specifically to interact with us in like a real, like, physical, tactile way. And you might say, well, where? Well, in the sacraments, of course, right? To feel the water run over you and to hear the word of God spoken to you, to receive the body and blood. Jesus, I mean, God does do that. And so to me, I think we have a Savior who is willing to get down in the mud with his people, and to engage in them in a way that I think is very personal. Which at some points, I mean, like, for us, we're like, that's kind of gross. But really, it's kind of like amazing. Because we see, like, just how personal and tangible Jesus wants to be to his people. And that's the only, I mean, like, I have no idea why there's mud made and put on his face. Although I would say people do that now. Like, they pay lots of money to have mud facials. So go for it.
Does it also prevent people from saying, there was magic in that substance?
I think
used to
there's-
heal his blindness.
Excellent.
Using something physically.
I think excellent, because I think that's also, especially when we see what's going to come next, the loads of questions that this man is going to get. I think there is some of that too. I think Jesus is like, I want to be intentional, and I want this man to know that it's me that's doing this. Which is kind of interesting because he can't see Jesus, so he's got to like at least know his name. He hears that, but then Jesus touches him. And so I think you're right. I think you're right, Tom. I think there's this tangible element to it, but I also think in this regard, so that there's no confusion or doubt that this is the act of the Lord here. Any other thoughts or comments on it? I just want to say thanks for answering that question for everybody. You did all the work. Yeah, you can clap for him. That's fine. And then, how does this healing underscore the main message we have seen in John's Gospel?
He always points it back to himself.
How so, Marion? How so here?
I'm the one that, I mean, it wasn't the mud that healed him, it was Jesus doing it, but points it back to himself and his word.
Yeah, I think along one other thing now that I'm thinking a little bit more about this miracle, what else does Jesus do besides make mud and put it on the man? He actually says, go do something.
Yeah.
Which actually requires what?
Action on the man's part.
Some kind of response, right? Some kind of response. And I would say that's where we get an underscoring of John's Gospel, because John's Gospel is all about, right? These are written that you may believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God. There's all types of things saying the Word is powerful, the Word is working. And so when Jesus gives this command, which is Jesus speaking, which is His Word, there is a response to it. And the response by this guy is, I'm going to go wash. I mean,
So,
right?
so
Go ahead.
he was blind. He was blind forever.
Blind from birth,
Blind
not
forever.
forever.
So if he was not blind from birth, would he have been so far down that he would have not listened to Jesus'
I have
command?
no idea.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. All we know is what's here.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting. And I think, well, maybe we jump into the next section and bring the Pharisees in.
Don't you think like his other senses are more heightened? So maybe listening to God was a lot easier than other people
Good
that
idea,
would want to
Shelby.
listen.
Maybe so.
I agree.
Amy's supporting you.
Thanks.
She's been
We'll
rough
get a high
today.
five.
Yeah.
She's been rough today because she told me my questions are too broad and I need to be more focused.
I was not here for that.
Wow. I barely recovered, so.
Let's go back to question 3 then.
Never! So let's jump into John chapter 9, 13 through 21. We'll finish out what we're looking at for today. So they brought this man who had been blind to the Pharisees, and now it was a Sabbath day when Jesus made the mud and opened his eyes. So the Pharisees also asked him how he received his sight. He put mud on my eyes, the man told him. I washed and now I see. Then some of the Pharisees said, this man is not from God because he does not keep the Sabbath. Others were saying, well, how can a sinful man work such miraculous signs? There was division among them. So they said to the blind man again, what do you say about him? Because he opened your eyes. The man replied, he is a prophet. The Jews still did not believe that he had been blind and received his sight until they summoned the parents of the man who had received his sight, and they asked them, is this your son, the one you say was born blind? how is it then that he can see now? We know that he is our son, his parents answered, and that he was born blind, but we do not know how he can see now, or who opened his eyes. Ask him. He is old enough. He will speak for himself. Okay. What argument did the Pharisees use to discredit Jesus, and what does this tell us about them? First of all, what's their argument?
Still worrying about the Sabbath.
Well, I think the Sabbath is a good thing to worry about.
Not that way. They're just really trying to nail him for the Sabbath.
Yeah, so they're like, well, it certainly can't be from God. This man makes mud on the Sabbath. And what does that reveal about them? Which I think is actually very telling as you continue to read through it. But even from their very first response, what do we see?
They're still not believing who Jesus is.
There is a default position of unbelief.
I think they don't want to believe.
Ooh, why? I like that, but why?
Because he's going to take the glory away from them.
Okay, you think there's like this power-hungry Pharisee who's like, nah, I want Jesus to be in control. We're the smart people here. I have those thoughts sometimes.
Searching for something.
I'm the smart one. Listen to me.
Was that from birth, or did that happen to you?
It's from birth. I'm waiting for Jesus to put my head in puberty with that. In heaven. Up that way. Yeah, I just, it's kind of amazing. And that's where the next questions go. Really, it is kind of amazing to just see how powerful unbelief is. I think that's kind of, as I walk away looking at this last little part, like, to me, this is kind of the astonishing aspect of this account, at least the section that we're looking at, is there is this like real, like staunch, just default, like, Jesus bad among the Pharisees. I mean, this is not the first time they've made this argument. This guy's doing stuff on the Sabbath. That's not good. We don't like it at all. So he's bad. Well, I think, like, even where their focus is, what do they say? I mean, like, just
Well, they say, how can a sinful man? So they think Jesus is sinful. How can a sinful man work such?
So that's the next question. What interesting thing do we see taking place in this account?
They do not believe.
They don't see him for what he really is.
Well, the Pharisees don't, but what do we get here?
Division.
Others are seeing it, yeah.
Yeah,
He is.
we're actually watching as some people are gravitating and understanding Jesus, and others are hardening themselves against Jesus. Right? The Pharisees are like, nope, it doesn't keep the Sabbath. Nope, not from God. And others are like, yeah, but he healed a guy. Like, that's not the work of sinful people. This is God category, maybe? At least a prophet, someone who is connected to God. And then you think about what Nicodemus said in John chapter 3. Remember that? Rabbi, we know that you can't. No one can do the things that you're doing unless God is with them, right? And so there's this division that takes place, which I think is kind of interesting because of what you said. If the Pharisees really are looking to grapple and grip power, they're watching it slip out of their hands. Which I think we could say that might be the reason why things kind of get amped up and amped up and amped up until it's finally like, all right, it's time. Now we've got a mob in a garden. I'm always kind of curious to like know how big that group is that went to arrest Jesus, because the high priests are like, bring in the cavalry. We have got to put this to an end. And then you maybe probably even got like Roman soldiers who are at their command. They're like, what are we doing? You were going to say something.
It seemed like in so many other miracles that Jesus performed, Jesus commanded them not to tell anyone what has happened. But in this account, Jesus specifically, he didn't say that. And the man immediately went cold around.
Yeah, this is a very public thing. There's not any, let's hide this. It's no, this is the guy whose name is Jesus. He healed me. Yeah. does the Pharisees' unbelief impact the way they interact with the people? Oh, please, Bob.
Well, I was going to say, you know that the Pharisees had a lot of influence. How many times did he do parable on talk about it and say something about it?
Yeah, it is kind of interesting to see like the questioning that takes place here, which is actually not uncommon. Like they're the ones that have got to put this like stamp of approval on the act itself. Like this is okay, we're good with this. So they're questioning, and what's interesting is they're questioning this guy who's born blind, and then they're like, get his parents in here.
Yeah.
Get his parents. We want to know if this guy was really blind. Like they're definitely digging to the bottom of it. Even though we could see from the very beginning, their response is, this is not from God. This guy's breaking the Sabbath.
So are they doing this on the Sabbath? So they're working on the Sabbath?
Yep. And that's the assumption that you'd have to have, right? That's the assumption you'd have to have. There's no, at least I didn't see any indication that was like a day later, or I don't see any of that. I don't see any of that.
How old do you think this guy was?
I have no idea.
Like, was he, it says he's a man, but like, was he 19? And they're like, nah, get his parents in here, we don't believe
Well,
it.
if
Or
you're,
was he
so,
your age. You know, like, get his parents in here.
Teenager old.
He's your age.
And his parents are 80.
He wishes. No, I don't know. You know, when I see this, I don't think of like a kid, like your age. I would. I'm just kidding. I think, and maybe this is just me reading. You know, like, I see like my age. I think is actually a good guess. Obviously, old enough to where his parents are still, you know, around and capable, but he's been begging. Like, people recognize him as a beggar. So this is probably not necessarily fully, I mean, probably still lives with his parents. That's not me. But, yeah.
Good.
I would say in my head I'm thinking, like, 30. That's what I think. Like a younger man, but I don't know. There's nothing that tells us his age. But thanks for using that to take a shot at my age. But I do understand what you're saying. Like the accountability aspect of this is a young kid who's influenced, and we want his parents to say. We do know that. What does his parents say?
He's of age.
He's of age. So I mean, like that's where I get that in my mind. That's where I'm hitting 30.
Well, that's why I just think it's so funny that they like are questioning him because of his age. Like, I don't know. If you would walk in and say this, I guess someone of your age I wouldn't question. But
well, so
Oh, sure.
Jesus doesn't start his ministry until he's 30. Because that is kind of like the marker in that culture of like, all right, this is a man now type of thing. Now they have like bar mitzvahs and stuff for younger kids, which is some of the commandment and all that kind of stuff. But like you don't do ministry unless you're 30. And so in this regard, I'm thinking someone who's older than 30. That's why the parents respond the way they do. He's of age, ask him. Like, yeah. But that does. I mean, there's a wide variety between 30 and myself. So. That's not a funny joke. But I think this is interesting, and it kind of hits on what I said. Like the unbelief of the Pharisees really do impact the way that they treat everybody in a situation. They're unwilling to believe. They're unwilling to believe this man. They go outside of their way to bring in more witnesses so that they can corroborate. Like they go down every avenue they can in order to try to disprove what Jesus is doing.
It seems to me that they're generally condescending. They're not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think in this regard, what you said, Amy, is kind of being revealed. Like, Jesus can't be who he says he is, because if he is, then we're kind of out of position. Like, because we have already kind of been like, we don't like this guy. Right?
Yeah, they pretty much made up their minds.
But this is all leading up. I mean, it's all leading up to, you know, to the death of this stuff. So, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Any other questions? So the last thing I guess I went with kind of what the first section we talked about, but actions have consequences, which is important, and we understand that. But I said, think of two ways our lives are impacted when we can distinguish between the consequences for sin, so like the natural consequences, and God's judgment against sin. So like if we can distinguish the difference between those two things, think about two areas in our life that are impacted. And I would say in this regard, it allows us to be more generous with people who are believers. This is me answering your question, right? When someone says, why did this happen to me? You could come up to them and say, probably wasn't anything you did. This is the result of living in a sinful world, is that there are problems.
But it probably is something they did. I mean, it may be very well be something they did.
Well, if it's like
but it's not
cancer
something-
or something like that, I mean, we would probably remove ourselves from casting that judgment, because then you're saying, if you say that, then you're saying God's punishing you.
Absolutely, I would say that.
Well, yeah, right.
But
I'm saying, like, that's what I'm saying, like, understanding the difference. You know, like if someone's getting hit by a car and they're like, I'm being punished for my disobedience. Well, you did something stupid, but that doesn't mean God's punishing you. These are the results of living in this world, is that things aren't perfect, and there are consequences for the things that you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, not a direct
Yeah.
Not a direct.
Any other thoughts or questions? All right, let's pray. Gracious Father in heaven, we thank you for sending Jesus into this world to interact with us in a real, tangible way. By living in our place, dying for us, and then, well, touching us not only with his word, but also the sacraments. Move us to rejoice in the means of grace and in our Savior Jesus. In his name we pray. Amen.
I just want to comment on the Psalm 2 that you had this morning. That's my favorite psalm. I love it where it says, God looks at the world and he laughs.
Yeah.